This trial is the first war crimes case before the Kosovo Specialist Chambers. For the victims participating here, it is hugely important to finally see this trial drawing to a close and gaining more clarity. Clarity on the scope of responsibility of the accused, his guilt or innocence, and the sentence that the panel may decide on, as well as the reparations they are entitled to. Torturous acts, beatings that seem to seek to intimidate those with different political views. We have heard more of that from the specialist prosecutor yesterday, or targeted for other unknown reasons. Burning, beating, electrocuting, mock executions. All those acts left the victims scarred forever, physically and psychologically. The victims in this case all shared the feeling of how important it was to defend the people of Kosovo against Serbian persecution. But the message needs to be clear that torture is never justified. A just aim does never justify unjust means.
In these proceedings, the voices of those who suffered at Kokesh will be heard, even the voices of those who are now dead, whose testimony lives on in their statements and in the memories of their family members. From the perspective of the victims, this is one of the most important aspects of this court. Their harm will be recognized. The fact that they are victims will be recognized. What do the victims want here? They want acknowledgement of the harm that they suffered, and my co-counsel, Ms. Radziowska, will address you more on that towards the end of this opening statement. But they also want a just outcome to this case. And in their view, a just outcome of this case is one that involves Mr. Shala admitting his guilt or that guilt being proved. So I want to start with who the victims are in this case. Who are they? The first important point is to emphasize their diversity. The victims in this case are not to be understood as one homogeneous group, but as a cross-section of Kosovo society in 1998 and 1999. Among them are members of the Albanian, Serb, and Roma communities. There are members of the Muslim, Catholic, and Orthodox faiths. Some had no interest in politics at all. Others were members of the LDK. Some were children when crimes were committed against their family members, and others were already in middle age. They occupied many different positions in life, and as might be expected, they have different perspectives on it. It should come as no surprise, then, that although they have been placed in one group for the purposes of being represented, they are and will remain something over 140 individuals. What they share is really one thing. They were the victims of crimes that have no justification at all. Crimes that brought death and suffering into their lives through no fault of theirs. The right to truth. If that sounds like a lofty or abstract notion, let me assure you that for the victims it is not. Some of the victims who've lived for over 20 years with these crimes have no clear idea why they or their loved ones were targeted, or where the ultimate responsibility for their harm lies. They want to know the answers to these questions because these events have played a decisive role in shaping their lives. For them, living without answers is living with injustice. And they are entitled to look to this case to provide answers, hoping that it is able to do so.